Hi, this is Phil Newman from Longevity.Technology, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by two members of the R&D team from ChromaDex. We've got Aron Erickson, who's the VP of R&D, and Philip Redpath, who's the Director of R&D. And guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure to be
Well,
here.
great, and we're very excited to speak with ChromaDex because you guys are really trailblazing really the longevity supplements field, and I know that this isn't your first rodeo as a corporation. You've been at this quite a long time now, but interested to talk today about IP and the fact that having a strong patent portfolio is important to every organization now. But how does it help ChromaDex to have this sort of IP strategy to become the leader that you are in the sector now?
Yes. So, well, I think a great word to describe our branded Niagen ingredient would be trusted. We believe it's the most efficient NAD booster on the market today, backed by human clinical trials by our external research program, or SERP as we like to call it. And with that program, we encourage many institutions to carry out independent research on our Niagen ingredient, and we supply it to them. Now, we feel that this independent research helps build that trust in our brand, which is part of the ChromaDex DNA, as is the quality of our product and our responsible marketing around it. But competing with our excellent SERP program and our quality would certainly be the IP protection we have for Niagen. We believe that our patent portfolio has given us the competitive edge over many other companies in the NAD space. It discourages them from simply coming along and copying our inventions without our permission. We really tried to move early and quickly before many others to secure our IP with the USPTO and then to go worldwide with it. We knew early on that rolling out our products out to global markets and out to as many consumers as possible was a priority for us, and we wanted an IP portfolio to match that. So we have over 60 patents related to nicotinamide riboside, or Niagen, and for many other NAD boosters domestically in the US and internationally in major markets like China, Europe, Australia, and Canada. And I think it's a credit to those at ChromaDex for demonstrating to these various patent offices that the research we've done around NR is novel and does deserve the recognition and protection that these international patenting processes have given us. And much of our work on discovering and researching newer and now patented NAD boosters really demonstrate our capabilities, which has contributed to our reputation as a leader in the field. And to remain as one of the industry-leading companies in the NAD space, we really feel it is important to defend the inventions we've worked so hard to protect and to take action to prevent infringers of our products from entering or staying in the market.
Well understood. Of course, the benefit of the patents is that they do have that protection. Surprised to understand that you've got 60 patents, and I guess that some of those are going to be patents that are the same patent but in different jurisdictions. But I guess some of those, as we'll talk about in due course, are approaching different approaches to the IP side of things. But what do companies need to actually do in the supplement space to fully protect their IP? What is a new company as well as an old company like yourselves, need to do to have that protection?
Yeah. So there are four main types of intellectual property that most people will have heard of that can help any supplement company or any company in general. They are trademarks, trade secrets, copyrights, and patents. So a patent, when it's granted to an inventor, it really gives them the right to exclude others from making, importing, or selling the protected invention. And that's in exchange for disclosing the details of the invention in the patent itself. We really believe at ChromaDex that IP protection allows for creativity and innovation to be treated as an asset. And of course, any company wants to protect their assets. You don't want to put so much time and effort into building a strong portfolio and then have others infringe on it. So it can really act as a deterrent to others, a strong portfolio. And that will give you that competitive advantage and gives you that freedom to build your strongest product line and the company's brand reputation. So I think a patent is a powerful incentive for inventors when a patent agency like the USPTO really recognizes your invention and gives you the exclusive rights to practice it. A strong portfolio also helps to establish credibility for the patent owners in the market, that you're an innovative company. And I think consumers recognize the strength of a product based on patents too. Other ways it can help would be that you can develop strategic partnerships with other companies. You may well find yourself working on new product formulations with them. And that comes from showing that you're a leader in your space and you've cornered a particularly lucrative part of the market with your patents that others want access to. And being a strong patent holder, sorry, Phil, if you were going to jump in with a question
Well,
there.
yes, it just truly understands, when you're looking at the types of patents that you've got, um, obviously there's an element of ingredients, but also is that relating to the application of the ingredients. Just interested to know, across those 60, which you say like includes things like trademarks and so on, what sits at the
Right.
core of the ChromaDex IP?
Yeah, so the majority of the patents fall under two main categories. A utility and a design patent. There is a third for plants, but not applied for that often. And most companies, including ChromaDex, primarily focus on utility patents. And essentially, what that is something that can be attained by anyone who discovers something new, useful, or it would have to be non-obvious to someone already skilled in the art, or it cannot be anticipated by looking at the existing knowledge in that area. And these utility patents can take the form of a process of making or manufacturing. So, for instance, a method of producing our flagship Niagen ingredient. And this particular form of IP is one we actively pursue and have been quite successful with achieving in the past. Again, with this type of patent in our portfolio, no one else is allowed to make, sell, or import a product that is using that patented process.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have method of use patents, which might be something where an ingredient like Niagen can have a novel benefit or provide an important function in a disease state, for instance. Then moving on, you would have some very important claims such as composition of matter. And one example that is relevant to ChromaDex would be a chemical or a molecular structure, or even a mixture of ingredients. And those patent claims can provide very strong protection for nutraceutical products.
Okay.
Essentially, new and unique formulations to the world that have never been seen before would be patentable.
Yeah.
Just to finish up on that one, in addition to that would be something like crystal morphology, which essentially protects a novel physical form of a compound that an inventor discovers, which is not found in nature. And just these examples of utility patents would be the most common applied for at the US Patent Office and worldwide, and make up the vast majority of our IP
Oh,
portfolio.
that's great. Well, and I guess interested because we see a lot of core organizations that are coming into market, and they have similar ingredients to others, maybe in different combinations. And likewise, we also see companies that are raising capital that may not have such a strong position with unique chemical structures and molecules and so on. So what about companies that are using combinations of generally regarded as safe or GRAS ingredients? Are they able to patent what they're doing?
Yeah, so that depends on really what country they're in as well. Each country has different regulations for patentability. In the U.S., if they've already commercialized their product, you have a 1-year grace period where it allows you to file a patent application where you might also have a benefit for that combination. So you can't just file a patent in general for the combination itself. It needs to accompany some sort of health benefit or other benefit that's unknown or non-obvious, like Phil was saying earlier. Could be in the cognitive space, joint health. In supplements, you're also limited on different claims you can speak about on what your product does. And so you really need to be very direct in kind of the benefits that you want your formulation to achieve. It would also need to, the reason why that's needed is because to support the patent, to support that in the eyes of the patent attorneys, you need to ensure that what you're claiming is actually covered in the patent itself, and how you can support that.
And I guess really, Aaron, the concept of marketing claims is a very important part of not only the patent process, but presumably then that's why you guys invest so heavily in the clinical trial work that you do, so that obviously you're able to, I would assume, then reverse some of that back up into the higher level marketing claims that you can make as a company in the future.
Yeah, that's something we attempt to do, but it is very difficult because in a clinical study, a lot of the in a nutraceutical situation, like I was stating, the claims that you can make on your product are limited because you can't have a disease or a direct, I guess, disease state benefit associated with a nutraceutical. That's something that the U.S. FDA does not allow. So we have to keep it very generic. Is it, immune support? Joint health is another one. We can say raises NAD But anything that directly relates to a disease is difficult. So in these studies, we try and generate data around, let's say, cardiac improvement, health, different health function improvements, and build that body of evidence to say something like may support heart health or can support heart health, just in more of a general sense, because we can't directly correlate it to an actual heart disease or other cardiac functional disease.
Yeah, understood. And of course, it is can be a bit of a minefield when you start to scratch the surface of this. And of course, we all know about what's happened recently with the FDA and NMN. But obviously, in relation to NAD boosting NAD, what positions ChromaDex really with your NR IP and patents? How does that position you at the front of the NAD plus space?
Yeah, so ChromaDex has been on the forefront of obtaining IP since 2011 around NR, and in our portfolio, we have a number of patents that protect the method of making and the process intermediates for NR chloride and other salt forms. Of those, we have 2 method of making patents that follow a process that go through an NRT crystal form that we have patented, which is one of the intermediates in the process. We also have an NR chloride methanolate crystal form that's also patented in our portfolio. And these patents are in combination with development from Queen's University in Belfast. So we're co-owners with them on these patents. In addition to that, we have other patents that cover additional NAD precursors that are of interest and may further future pursue in innovation technologies. With that, recently obtained and licensed a composition of matter for NRH and NARH, which are the reduced forms of NR and NAR. And they are covering a composition in the sense of a purity that's greater than 90%, and it's 98% in the beta anomer form, which is the active form in the body.
So there's obviously a lot of depth to thinking about how obviously you build your patent strategies. But can we maybe just talk about some of the advents of these new delivery systems that are out there? Does a delivery system, whether it's perhaps IV drips or liposomal technology, does that come into play as well?
It depends. If the delivery system provides an enhanced benefit, let's say it increases absorption in, let's say, a liposomal formulation, which is difficult with NAD precursors, mainly because they're so water-loving or hydrophilic. A liposome is difficult to provide that benefit in that instance. It works well for typically hydrophobic compounds or oil-based, oil-dissolved compounds. But in general, if it has an enhanced benefit or an enteric coating where it protects from the gastric environment, it can play a role in the patents that you're pursuing. However, those delivery mechanisms are very well known today, so that alone is not patentable because it's pretty obvious in the patent market and market in general. What would benefit that is if it improves a health benefit, something unknown that you weren't expecting, and you can provide that data. You can have that dosage form in combination with that health benefit or enhanced health benefit as a claim. So it's typically a combination approach. Or if you know that your combination of ingredients in your formulation or your main active provides a specific health benefit, you can claim that, and then as a dependent claim, include different ways to administer or dose your active ingredient. And so you can cover those in various formats, providing that health benefit.
Right. And again, we've talked a lot about, the subjects of patents, but how are you going to approach patents going forward to sort of support future developments and future innovations? Is there I guess that you've got a lot going on in R&D, and I guess that there's some interesting stuff coming out all the time, but how do you approach that in the future going forward?
Yeah. So one benefit when we're talking about how a patent portfolio can help a company, build their brand and build their market presence, is once you obtain a patent, it's granted. typically there's about 15 years of life left on that patent. So during that time, you're able to build that marketplace. Especially if you have some of the broader coverages in your patents, like composition of matter, crystal morphology, that allows you really to own the space and develop your product in that area. So with these other NAD precursors, we do have some crystal morphologies, which is a type of composition of matter that allows us to further develop and understand what innovations we're going to bring forward to the market during that time.
Great. And I guess, we're hearing lots of things about now expansion into regular food products and even pet food. How do you feel about that, from an R&D perspective as well as a corporate perspective?
Right. I mean, we're still a new ingredient to the market. We're still building our brand. So really we need to evaluate and understand what markets we want to get into as well as what meets our company strategy. And so really that product innovation drives what is possible with the categories we want to get into. I think we're excited to expand into different categories and looking at new possibilities on what we can do with our ingredient.
Yeah, great. Well, obviously, there's a lot going on with you guys. So, Aron and Philip, I better let you get back to it. But thanks very much for joining us today. It's been fascinating.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it too. Thank you, Phil.